They might have chronic fatigue, chronic headaches, bloating, constipation, other digestive issues, acid reflux, anxiety, insomnia. Those are the people who just really can't find the right answers, and they're really ready to dive in by looking deeper.
Welcome to the Phase 4 podcast, inspired by Vishen Lakiani and Ajit Nawalkar, co-founders of EverCoach, a division of Vine Valley. In this podcast, we speak to coaches and creatives about where they were, where they are, and where they are going. This is an intersection of what we focus on expands, and your story is your superpower. My guest today is Rachel Smith. She is a functional medicine practitioner, and today we're going to talk about autoimmune disease, nervous system regulation, general health and wellness, and more. And Rachel, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, definitely grateful. I think your message will resonate with our audience. It's becoming more and more mainstream where people realize that they want to take care of themselves and that they have more power than they were led to believe. And you come in and kind of help with that. But I always usually begin with just tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up in this space?
Sure. So growing up, I was somewhat of a sick kid. I had a lot of digestive issues, lung issues, just lots of stuff going on. And I was going to so many doctors. I was in and out of hospitals at a young age. And most of the doctors just chalked it up to, I don't know, just take this pill, just do this thing. And I would be in and out all the time. So I didn't really get any answers. And I just figured that that was the way that my body operated. And then as I got into my teenage years, I started to see a little bit of a correlation between if I ate some different things, some symptoms went away. I wound up taking away dairy when I was in my teenage years. And all of a sudden, my crazy headaches, some of my asthma issues, some of my digestive issues started to go away. And so that was the first sign for me that what we put in our bodies actually makes a difference. Now, I wish that the story ended there, but unfortunately, my health actually got worse in my late teens, early 20s, to the point where I had massive panic attacks, trouble swallowing, heart palpitations, brain fog. I was falling asleep in the middle of my classes in college. Just any symptom that you could think of, hair loss, anxiety, lots of things going on. So I was taking it upon myself again as an adult to go to lots of doctors, go to lots of hospitals, still never found anything. All my blood work was normal. And it wasn't until I was about 23 where I woke up in the middle of the night one night. My heart was racing. It was like 170 beats per minute. I called 911. And they raced me to the hospital, admitted me, and wound up doing an exploratory heart surgery on me because they thought that I had some sort of electrical issues going on. Now, meanwhile, the past few years, I had been listening to podcasts avidly. I had been reading books. I started to do my own research and taking it into my own hands. And I actually had a hunch that maybe it was an autoimmune disease. But again, even in the hospital, they said, no, we can't find anything on your blood work. We're going to go through this surgery. And also, before that, I had been trying different diets. I had been trying cold plunges, meditations, lots of things. So I wake up from this surgery, nothing was wrong with my heart. And this was really the last straw for me. It was such a scary thing to go through and still not have answers. So I finally reached out to a functional medicine practitioner in Florida where I lived at the time. I pretty much forced him to run autoimmune labs on me, and he did gut testing and food sensitivity testing and all sorts of different labs. Turns out I did have Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid autoimmune disease. And as soon as I started changing my diet and lifestyle according to really what is best for autoimmune diseases and started to work on some of the internal factors like the gut issues, heavy metals, different toxins, mold, over the years got into different nervous system practices, stress practices, all my symptoms started to go away. And now I'm at a point in my life where I don't experience any symptoms of autoimmunity, have a very healthy, amazing life. And for the past 5 years or so, I've been running my own business where I help people who were, have the same story that I did, going to lots of doctors, mystery health issues or autoimmune diseases, and I get to help them get rid of those symptoms and live a healthy, happy life again.
Wow. That is like, it's not unbelievable, but it's unbelievable. And for those just listening on audio, she's saying all this with a smile on her face, which is so cool. There's so much in there, right? Your
Mhm.
company that came out of it, Hashimoto's syndrome. Maybe I'll start there. Thyroid. The same thing happened to me. I went to the doctor. It wasn't Hashimoto, but they said thyroid. And I was like, that day, I remember like I didn't sleep well the night before. I didn't really have a good dinner the night before. I didn't exercise that morning or meditate. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do this again, this test. So then we scheduled another time and I did all those things that I didn't do the first time. Test came back, you're fine. And I'm just like,
Oh,
wow.
interesting.
Yeah, but the same idea where we're led to believe a certain way, or that you started the whole thing by saying take a pill. And that's where I'm just like, man, I don't know if you ever read The Body Keeps the Score, but he has a part where he's like, if the pills and the antidepressants were so effective, then why are we still taking them 5 years later, right?
Well, they're not meant to actually heal anything, right? They're not healing that root cause or the reason that we got the anxiety in the first place. It's more of that band-aid approach of just, hey, let's kind of turn the volume down on the symptoms, and it doesn't even work for everybody, unfortunately.
Right. And so the mold toxicity, you had a gut feeling, you called it a hunch, but your intuition was telling you, I know what's going on inside of me. And so then it ends up there's some issues with mold and toxins. So maybe can we go into that area and describe like where they are, where we find them in our environment, not just the foods, but everything like that?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So the mold actually, what that took me a long time to really uncover. I had made a lot of progress with nutrition and gut health, and it wasn't until years later, many years later, where I realized that I had lived in many moldy places, being in my 20s, going through college. There's mold in college dorms, there's mold in, the cheap apartments that you're affording at the time, but even in beautiful new homes there can be mold, or workplaces or schools. So it's everywhere. Um, so now at this point in my life, I do know what to do to like how to really look for it. We can get into that a little bit more. But studies show that mold is in like over 50% of buildings. And it depends on how much is there? What's the type of mold? Is the mold producing mycotoxins? What's your health like? How often are you spending in that place? If you're somebody who has a genetic predisposition where you can't really detox mold, and especially women as well, women are much more likely to get autoimmune diseases and have a lot of health issues like that I'm kind of talking about. You could possibly live in a home with your whole family where, let's say, the mom is being affected by mold in the house and she's having lots of symptoms. She gets an autoimmune disease, but the husband's fine. And then maybe the kid has like allergies or headaches or something going on. So it can be such a challenging thing for people to find and understand that it's affecting them. And a lot of doctors don't talk about this. So mold can definitely be in our food as well. It can be in, peanuts, cashews, grains like wheat, corn, coffee. Yeah, you just held up your coffee cup. Absolutely. I drink a really clean mold-free coffee now. It can be in dried fruits. So, and I would say, like, yes, that these foods and the mold in them can have an impact on us. They can definitely, depending upon how much you're eating. But what I see in my practice is usually the people who are really sick are the ones that are living in a moldy place.
So the environment controls the gene, right? We know that the genes are born with a certain set of genes. I believe that most people just figure that's it. My dad had this, my mom had
Yeah.
that, and that's it. But we know now that it's not true, that the environment can upregulate and then regulate the gene. The same reason two guys might work in a factory and one ends up getting cancer or something and the other doesn't.
Yeah.
But with all that said, you mentioned your company. I love the name of your company and even the photo. I wanted to eat a green apple And I'm going to also let you know that tomorrow morning, I just finished the book today, but my next book's already ready to go, and it's Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. I saw that in your book.
Nice. Yes, yes, that was a really important part of my healing journey was realizing that my mindset and my environment was playing a really big role in keeping me stuck with my autoimmune symptoms because even when I first discovered the Hashimoto's, for example, I remember getting so stressed about it, right? Even though I was working with a functional practitioner, I was very scared. I didn't have a lot of guidance on mindset or stress management. He kind of was just like, here's the foods you should eat. Don't eat all of these foods. It was very scary sounding. Just take these supplements. And again, he saved my life, but I was in such a mindset of fear and worry and overwhelm and also thinking like I'm stuck with this disease. I can't do the same things that I used to be able to do now. I have to live this way instead of this way. I can't have fun anymore. So I got into this really narrow mindset until one day I started reading Joe Dispenza books. I forgot the other book right now, a Wayne Dyer book that I was reading, and I was reading about some mantras and things in there, and it just clicked one day where I realized, oh my gosh, I've been saying negative thoughts. I've been thinking these things that I'm stuck in a certain place. So I started meditating. I started reframing the thoughts that were in my head. And that truly, truly started to propel me into a different direction of healing and actually allowing my body to get to that next level.
Yeah, Wayne Dyer too, right? He's so good. I think
Hmm.
is it called Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life or something like that? No,
I
he
have a
has a bunch.
it's a big stack. It's like a massive book that has a lot of his books inside of it.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he's definitely one of the guys who helped me on Joe Dispenza too. But Natural Health Rising, that's the name of the company. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about that, what you do. We kind of talked about, but who do you ideal clients and all of that juicy stuff?
Sure. So, ideal people that I work with are exactly my story, right? The ones who either you have an autoimmune disease or you're going to all these doctors, but you still feel terrible and everyone's telling you, I don't know, take a pill or your blood work looks fine. It's just your hormones or your age. But these people, they might have chronic fatigue, chronic headaches, bloating, constipation, other digestive issues, acid reflux, anxiety, insomnia. Those are the people who just really can't find the right answers, and they're really ready to dive in by looking deeper. They don't want the pill, right? They really want to understand, like, why is my body doing this? I know they usually know that there is a better way, and they know there's something that they can do because otherwise they wouldn't keep going to these doctors, right? And so they're ready for change and they're ready to kind of think outside of the box and utilize nutrition, sleep, exercise, supplementation, functional testing, and also even diving into some of this like mindset and stress management work too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wonder when you're saying all that list of meditation, sleep, all these things, obviously each person's unique, but is there one thing that you think helps more than any other thing or somewhere to start maybe?
Mm. Well, that is a really hard question to answer for everybody. I think that sometimes people can actually get too stuck on nutrition, to be honest. And this is something that I've changed my thoughts on over the years because in the beginning, nutrition was one of the first things that I changed and it made such a significant impact. But people can get stuck that that is the sole savior of all their issues. And nowadays we have so many people hyping up the keto diet, the carnivore diet, vegan diets, claiming that it is the end all be all. And I will tell you it is not. So it's like you can even just start with thinking, do I have a clean general diet where I'm eating whole foods? Have I gotten out the packaged foods, the things that are in packages that are processed, the liquid sugars, all of those things? And can you just switch to clean water, whole foods, good amounts of proteins, veggies, fruits? Like if you can do that basic step, you're good. And beyond that, I think the next couple things are truly um, your circadian rhythm and stress. And I
All
can go
right.
into either of those.
Yeah, circadian rhythm first, please.
Okay. Yeah. So we are meant to live with the sun. Before we had all of these artificial lights and these crazy work hours and computers and phones and blue lights, we were living with the sun, and our body, our hormones run off of that, right? We have different hormones secreted at different times of the day based upon light exposure. So if we are trapped inside all day with artificial lights, how does our body know what it's supposed to be doing? We're confusing the heck out of our body, and we're not getting that proper sunlight exposure. So something as simple as waking up in the morning, and instead of going for your phone and going for the cheap dopamine hit that can actually depress us more and make us feel more dysregulated, you can step outside and get a good 10 minutes of sunshine to your eyes and your skin, and that's going to help wake you up. That's going to help give you energy. It's going to tell your hormones to go, tell your cortisol to be released to give you energy and help all your other sex hormones as well. Getting outside as much as you can throughout the day, in the middle of the day for vitamin D, and again at sunset time. And then when that sun sets, you do need to kind of control your lights inside your house too. So that would be, I'm a all the way on the end of the biohacker where I have like blue light blocking bulbs that are red inside of my house so that at nighttime I can turn those on, and I truly don't have any artificial lights that are affecting my eyes and my skin because we have photoreceptors on our skin, and we're also, perceiving that light through our eyes. But if that's not an option, you can dim your lights. Maybe you have some Himalayan salt lamps where you can kind of wind things down. And instead of watching TV right before bed or scrolling on your phone right before bed, you can choose to take an Epsom salt bath, read a book, do something that's calming, do a meditation. And if you practice this every single day for at least a month straight, you are going to help support regulating your hormones, your digestive system, your energy, and so many different things.
Yeah, I love it. Circadian rhythm's a good one because it's not even us, like animals, plants. If you look outside and you see the plant, the flower will like follow the sun, and then it closes up when it's nighttime because it knows what's going on. And it for women, I think I've heard it's even more important because of like biology and stuff to have a correct circadian rhythm. And obviously it includes things like sleep, but food goes into this, but also
Mm-hmm.
with just like you're saying, turning the lights and getting ready kind of for nighttime, is that your brain will release human growth hormone while you're asleep. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
best time. The more it does that, the more you get, the more you can rest, repair, heal your body. But when we're body's full and we're still eating and trying to digest, if we just ate a couple hours before bed, and same with the light, your brain's still active, even though you think you're sleeping, then the human growth hormone gets blocked. It'll still get through. You're just not getting as much. So the rest and repair is not as effective.
Yeah, and even other hormones too, like your TSH, which is your thyroid stimulating hormone. So for me, this was important, a part of my story because I got a thyroid autoimmune disease, right? So your TSH is released, or sorry, highest peak of release between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. That's when you're sleeping. So if you are staying up until 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning, you're disrupting your thyroid hormone, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important hormones because it controls your metabolism. It controls, I mean, you heard my story. I started getting heart palpitations and hair loss and digestive issues from this thyroid being off. It controls your metabolism, so your body temperature, your weight, your heart rate, the quality of your hair, skin, and nails. So the simple act of not sleeping properly is going to completely throw off your thyroid health.
Yeah. Sleep, when I asked you which one you think is the most important, for me, it's definitely sleep. And now I'm so regulated. I wake up like a minute or two before my alarm every day. And it's just like
Hmm.
you can train your body for that. Maybe the other side of that, then nervous system. And before, like when you're saying about your heart rate, 170, just so people realize, like your body's telling you, like you're about to have a heart attack at that number.
Yeah, yeah.
Man. So then nervous system and nervous system regulation, maybe, I don't know if you know about vagus nerve included in
Hmm.
that. If you, all right, let's
Yeah.
party.
Okay, sure. Well, you have your nervous system, which a lot of people think of as just parasympathetic and the sympathetic, right? Those are kind of the two main branches. But there's different, if, are you familiar with like the polyvagal theory? Okay. So there's the polyvagal theory where there's different sections of that basically. And so you have your ventral vagal state, which is where you are in the parasympathetic nervous system. You feel calm, safe, connected to others. Your breathing is nice and steady. You can think clearly, you can communicate clearly, you feel safe basically. This is also where your body is in rest and digest. A lot of people have heard of that phrase before. So when you eat your food, you can break it down properly, you can absorb the nutrients properly. So this is where we want to be as often as we can, but there's also healthy versions of like when we work out, we're not going to be in parasympathetic, right? We have like a little activation. So it's not bad to go in and out of these states. That's 100% normal, but we don't want to be in more of a unhealthy expression of like a sympathetic state. So, and I'll talk a little bit more about that too. But when we're in this parasympathetic state, our body is running smoothly, right? It's healthy. Our immune system is very strong. Our digestion is strong. And so our body is going to stay as healthy as possible. And then we have the sympathetic state. A lot of people know this as fight or flight. This is where we're perceiving danger or stress. So here, and again, there's healthy versions of this. Maybe we're working out or something, that's okay. We're kind of in between a couple of states there. But if we're in the state where we're like really anxious, really worried, fearful, angry, irritable, our immune system then starts to be suppressed. It's not as healthy. So if you're in that state frequently and you come into contact with pathogens, you're more likely to get sick. You're more likely to develop an autoimmune disease. You are not going to digest your foods in this state. You're not going to absorb all those amazing vitamins and minerals if you're in a fight or flight state. Many people eat in this state because they're running around, multitasking, working, standing when they eat. So you're not going to get your nutrients. We also have a dorsal vagal state, which is more of like a shutdown freeze. And there's many other states that are kind of coming out now. People have lots of different names for these, but this is another basic one where you feel more overwhelmed, hopeless, trapped, numb, dissociated, or shut down. So here everything kind of plummets still, like your immune system is really low, your digestion is not really working properly. So again, these states are natural states that are meant to protect us. However, if we are living in some of these other states frequently, that is where you can kind of see those effects of the body that I'm talking about. So this is where working on the vagus nerve and the toning of the vagus nerve is important because it can help you be more resilient, where you can pull yourselves through these states easier. And there's also tools where you can kind of, depending upon what state you're in, you can help bring yourself out of that state and into the next one. So if you are in the shutdown state, you actually have to move through into the sympathetic state and then move through back into the parasympathetic state. And I can also talk about those tools and really what that looks like too.
So the last part, are you saying like almost you can train your body to reframe it? Like those states?
You can become more resilient when you are working on nervous system regulation frequently, you can prevent yourself from really going super far into all of those shutdown states. But also if you do go to those states and you're very aware, start to become aware and you have a stronger nervous system, you can know, oh, okay, I'm in overwhelm right now. What do I need to do? I'm aware enough. I know my nervous system now. What do I need to do to actually start to bring myself out of this? Because I have the capacity now to support my body here. So if you're totally shut down, you're not going to do a meditation to get out of it. You're not going to go do a dance party if you're feeling super numb and disconnected. What you can do instead is you can just start to literally visualize your body moving. You can start to kind of just like hold yourself and kind of squeeze your arms and bring some blood flow and some life back into your body. You might step outside and just ground your feet in the grass and get in the sun, connect with somebody who feels really safe to you, like a partner or a friend. Those are simple things that you can do. And so if we don't know anything about the nervous system or these tools, we're not going to know how to we just kind of live in that state, right?
Yeah, like the stress it's necessary, right? But like you said, when it's prolonged stress and you can't return to homeostasis, then you're in trouble. And we see this a lot with not just immune, but like with workplace. Like people get burned out because they're just go,
Hmm.
go, 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 go. And I don't know if you ever go to Europe, but it's a different speed. They're not in a big, big hurry to just let's work 16 hours a day every day.
Yeah, and that's actually technically another state now is called like functional freeze, which is people who are more high achievers who are in like in a functional freeze state. So you're not fully shut down because you're still going, right? You're like doing the things, you're going through the motions, but you're so activated, you're just going through the motions. And somebody like that needs to take a break. They might need to just get into an Epsom salt bath, like take something off their calendar, really give yourself permission to say no to some things, take some Epsom salt baths, like listen to some calming music. Um, Maybe you just need to take the day to like lay under a weighted blanket and just detach from everything because you're so caught in that go, go, go state.
Yeah. Even things like just closing your eyes and just like shutting down that sense. And like, I don't know. It's so crazy that just the way we've been conditioned from such a young age, like go, 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 right? And then we get sick, and then here's a pill, here's another pill, here's a pill to cancel out that pill. And
Yeah.
like you said, none of it actually works. I want to read something and I want you to pick up when I stop. But this is says
Okay.
you're not lazy, you're just your body's just trying to survive. If you've been beating yourself up for not having the energy, focus, or motivation to do it all, you're not alone.
Hmm.
That's a post you wrote the other day, but you want to pick up on that?
Yes. Okay, great. So yeah, I wrote a post just a couple days ago about how you're not lazy and you're not a procrastinator, but it's something internally going on in your body. And so this can be a multitude of things. So one of them is nervous system dysregulation and overwhelm, right? It's like when you're in that state where you feel like you're doing so much, but then you're procrastinating on things, you're not getting things done, and you just want to shut down. It's because you have so much going on in your life. So that goes back to okay, you need to do a life evaluation. How can you start to say no to some things? How can you start to take things off your calendar? Then there's the aspect of just, okay, but how do I also make my body feel less stressed? We talked about some things, but there's general tools that you can use. Like one of my favorite tools that all my clients love every time we go through it is the emotional freedom technique or tapping. Such a simple tool that's free. There's a million videos on YouTube. Um, Doing something like that every day is one of the best ways people can bring themselves into a feeling safe, feeling less stressed, feeling more regulated. So it might be something as simple as those couple things for you, like what's one tool I can do on a daily basis to reduce stress, and how can I kind of start to reduce the actual overwhelm that's happening in my life. The other things I talk about in that post, and I'm trying to remember them all, but one of them is nutrient depletions. So that kind of goes into some of what I do in my work with lab testing. You know, I'll look at people's lab tests and see they're totally depleted on magnesium, sodium, potassium, and different minerals that help give us energy and support our adrenal glands. Um, if you are running around and when we are in these stress states, we actually deplete our minerals more. So we have a catch 22. So you need more minerals. And also you probably don't know that you're depleted in all of these things, which is where functional testing and support can really help. But you know, getting that stuff checked out and getting your vitamins and minerals in check can be super helpful. You might be eating really inflammatory foods. If you're eating packaged foods with food dye and lots of sugars, you are going to feel like you have ADHD, you can't focus, anxiety, brain fog. I'm a firm believer. I know not everyone's going to agree with this, but I'm a firm believer that you can get rid of those labels of like ADHD, anxiety, depression through fixing your gut health, nutrition, nutrients, and implementing some of these stress and mindfulness practices. It might not be 100%, but you can drastically reduce it to where you don't feel lazy, you can focus, and you can really get things done. Um, I'm going to pause there for a second.
Yeah, no, I totally
Yep.
agree with you. Like maybe not every person, but the majority of people, yeah, start with the food. And don't just listen like she's a firm believer. Try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What? I think magnesium, that I hear magnesium that everybody's under or depleted on magnesium more than any other thing.
Yeah, magnesium. Well, yes, but a lot of people know about magnesium now. So I will see many clients come in and they're taking it, which is really good. And so the other thing I see as the biggest depletions are sodium and potassium. But if you're not taking magnesium, of course, this is not medical advice. You should always get tested. But magnesium glycinate is going to be the better form for people who are feeling like stress is their big thing versus if you have a lot of digestive issues, maybe a lot of constipation, you might go with magnesium citrate, or you might find a blend with a couple of those in it. But really, glycinate is works really well for people and is more calming and can also help with sleep issues too.
And these are all technically salts, right? Sodium, magnesium, potassium. I don't know what potassium.
Minerals, yeah, minerals, electrolytes.
Yeah, electrolytes. That's it. When you're running and you hit the wall, it's because you don't have enough electrolytes.
Yeah, about 90% of people are potassium deficient.
Wow. And then you
Yeah.
said dairy at the beginning was giving you migraines. And I read a book, it's called Gene Eating. And
Okay.
the guy says 60% of the world is lactose intolerant.
Mm.
Yeah. So, as we begin to wind down, if this episode resonates with you, please like, subscribe, share, and reach out to Rachel. She's going to give you some tests. She's going to talk to you. You're going to figure it all out. If you have things, especially if it's your intuition and your gut, and you're telling me that I keep going to the doctor, I know there's an answer out there, reach out to Rachel and have that conversation. It might just change your life. I think I ask everyone this question. This is the Phase 4 podcast and Phase 4 in the 6th phase meditation by Vishen Lakhiani. It's all about creating your future 3 years out. So
Oh.
where is Rachel Smith 3 years from today?
Oh, this is fun. Okay. 3 years from today, I have written my first book, and that is actually in the works right now. So that's out. It is helping people who helping more people get healthier and happier through the holistic practices that I already teach. And I am with my future partner because I'm single right now. So I have my partner who's going to be my husband, and we're talking about having kids together. We are somewhere in Austin, Texas, probably still where I live because I love it here so much. I'm continuing to help people in coaching. I'm speaking on stages, sharing my message and sharing this information with more people. And I'm having a very balanced life still, traveling, seeing the world, having fun, dancing. Something that I'm really passionate about is dancing and music. And I'm surrounded by people who are loving, supportive, growth oriented, and just the most amazing community in my life.
That's powerful. I love it. You're in the right spot if you like music and dancing, right? What's it called? Fifth Street, Fifth Avenue?
Oh, 6th Street? I don't go down there, but yeah, there's that here. That's a little too wild for me.
Yeah, it's intense. I guess before I ask my final question, I always let the guests take it wherever they want. I don't know if we've covered everything, but if there's something you're selling, sell it. If you have a message of hope or inspiration, or if you want to mix it all together, take it away.
Okay. Let's see. um don't let yourself get caught in the healing trap. I do think, one, if you're feeling unwell in any sort of way, don't give up hope. You should keep looking for the person who's going to listen to you and who knows how to do the right testing and really be a health detective, and really find what is the thing that's going on with you and be able to support you. And sometimes we can get too caught up in that of thinking that there's a finish line to healing or health. There's not a finish line. It's really about adopting a a lifelong mindset that you're adopting a new lifestyle and having fun with it in your life, because they're like, we can get very serious about these things, the nutrition and the sleep and the mindset and the stress. It's like, yes, we need to do these things, they help us, and you need to create balance in your life, kind of reduce that overwhelm, have fun, find what you're passionate about, find what brings you joy, find an amazing community. And that is truly what can create a lot of healing, is those few things: fun, passion, community, a loving, supportive community. I really think that that's one of the most transformational things outside of the tools that we're kind of the check boxes that we're doing in our health. So that would be my message. And as far as other resources, my business is Natural Health Rising. You guys can find me at Natural Health Rising on TikTok, on Instagram, YouTube, all over the place. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram, where I'm very active. And I have a couple of freebies I can give you guys. There is the Energy Reboot Guide, which has some meal plans in there and some holistic guidance that you can use for free. And if somebody does have something more serious, like an autoimmune disease, I have an amazing webinar that is jam-packed with the exact steps you need to take in order to heal mystery illnesses and autoimmune diseases. So I can give you that as well.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And if you do reach out through this podcast, let her know, because I'm sure she would like to know that. Rachel, your story is your superpower, and I'm so grateful for your time. I think the last question I would ask is usually how can people reach you, but you just answered that. So, is there any superfoods we should eat or look for?
Superfoods. Oh, that's a hard one, because everybody's going to have their different preferences and sensitivities, but I'm a firm believer that we should be eating animal protein and veggies. So I don't think there's an or between those. It would be grass-fed, pasture-raised meats, and getting in your green veggies, your fibrous veggies, to actually support your gut microbiome so that you can feed the healthy gut bacteria that's there. So prebiotic, fiber-rich foods.
How about fasting? Does that play into it at all? Good, bad, maybe?
Oh, you're opening up a can of worms of a whole new conversation. I don't think everybody should be fasting. Depends on women, where they're at in their cycle. If they're in menopause, they can fast really whenever they want. If you're a cycling woman, you should be fasting closer in your follicular phase or in your ovulation. Men also, doesn't really matter when you're fasting, but some people, they might be in a place where they're actually too sick to fast. You might want to wait a little bit in their healing journey. So nuanced, but I think it can be beneficial for certain people.
Brilliant. Thank you. So, Rachel, again, your story is your superpower. What we focus on expands. And thank you so much. This was so awesome. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, JP.